First question is going to be for Mayor Hooppaw. Demographics of Apple Valley are continuing to change. What are you doing about it to deal with the changes and welcome all the groups to our community?
Thanks, Scott, and thanks to the Chamber for putting this on today. It's true they're changing not just Apple Valley, we're changing across our entire South Metro region. One thing that I would point out as we look at what goes forward is some park bond referendum research we're doing right now. We're just a little over 50 years old as a city. The needs and what got built 50 years ago probably doesn't serve the demographic quite the same as it does now. Go talk to any of our youth athletic associations and ask them what their participations look like and what sports are popular, and you start to see some of that change in demographic. What do we need to do? We need to learn what is needed first. I think we can't start by making an assumption that a certain demographic is going to need something, want something, or that things are always going to be the same. So really, how do we continue to engage folks? One way we've done that is more and more information available online, bringing in a communications coordinator, beefing up some of our social media and other communications methods, having everyone say to, find the city website or find the printed material is probably not the best way we engage all of our citizens all the time. And so those are just a few ways that we can get the ideas out to understand what those demographics are and how we can serve them.
Thank you. Frederic, do I call you Rick or Frederic?
Either one.
Okay. Rick, something important is driving you to run for mayor. What is it?
Well, I've lived here first off, I'd like to thank the Chamber for holding this and having us up here. I think this is a great forum. We've lived here for 30 years, and we've raised 4 children. We now have 12 grandchildren. And I've watched this city through all of its development. And as things have started to change pretty dramatically in the world over the past few years, I watch it even closer. And as I watch it, I see that things in Apple Valley need to change. Things in Apple Valley need to be sensitized towards these other external changes and to insulate Apple Valley, to keep Apple Valley a great place to live. So I've been in business for almost 50 years, running different large public, private, and private equity companies. I started a consulting firm, and when I decided to retire, everything hit, and I decided this is the time I need to do something, and I have some strong thoughts on what needs to be done, and here I am.
Thank you. Mayor Hooppaw, we brag about the low taxes in Apple Valley. But are there services that we're not getting because we are the lowest tax city in the county?
Scott, you're right. We've been very proud of where we've managed to learn and budget. One thing we did a number of years ago, about the time I was first elected, was go to some 2-year budgets so that we would look more forward in there. We can't hide something in, say, an even numbered year, right? When there's an election up, it's going to force us to look at those and make sure we're planning long term. We've got capital improvement plans that run 10 plus years out, so we understand what the needs are. I feel like we've done a good job on that. I feel like we've done a really good job of making that information as transparent as you can when you're talking about a 3-inch thick ring binder to get through all the departments and all the work the city does. But are there things we're missing? I won't say there are things we're missing. I will say as we look now at what inflation is doing, as we look at big projects, whether that's park things we just talked about, fire station rebuilds that are on the docket right now, improvements to our 50-year-old central maintenance facility where we store all of our vehicles and where our PD does their staging. Having all of those stack up in an inflationary environment is certainly problematic as we look forward. So in the what could we have done better, if my hindsight was perfectly clear, we maybe would have started some of those projects sooner and spread them out further and longer over a longer period rather than have them all hit at once.
Thank you. Candidate Contino, you just mentioned changes need to be made in Apple Valley. Look out 10 years and tell me what needs to be changed in Apple Valley.
Well, probably the best thing I could do would be to give you my vision of Apple Valley. My vision of Apple Valley is a place that is safe to live, work, and play. And by safe, I mean a place that's ahead of the curve when it comes to issues of public safety. Not just keeping our head above water, but ahead of the curve. I see Apple Valley as a place that people don't want to come to if they're going to commit crimes. I see Apple Valley as a place where we follow and enforce the law completely. The second part of my vision is forward-thinking development and redevelopment. I think obviously we have very little land left. We need to very seriously focus in on the redevelopment of our aging businesses and some strip malls. We need to take a look at the aging parks that we have. I know there's a park referendum bill that's going to be coming up next year. I was lucky enough to have led the largest international playground equipment company in the world, so I have some basis for that. But regardless, there's a lot of aging that's gone in Apple Valley, and it just continues and continues. Whether it's the aging of the parks, or whether it's the aging of a street light, or the aging of a street that's in disrepair. These are the things that we really need to focus on to make Apple Valley a #1 city. And lastly, I believe that we can do much more for beautification of this city. And what I mean by that is that the public spaces should be up to par, trimmed. Neighborhoods should be having pride in their parks and in their own communities. So I think civic pride is the third part of that. So that's my vision of how I see Apple Valley.
Thank you. Now we're back on the non-personal question between the two. We're going to start out with Mayor Clint Hooppaw for Frederic Contino.
Thanks. I was really hoping Rick was going to tell us all how to quit aging. I was looking forward to that one. As I look at one of the online candidate forum questionnaires, which, by the way, are interesting across the board, Rick, you mentioned encouraging some financial support to attract businesses to Apple Valley. How would you fund that, knowing that as much as we'd love to, we don't have a secret closet full of money over at City Hall? And then how would you choose which businesses get that support and which ones don't?
Well, I think that that's a part of a bigger plan that needs to be hatched that involves what is the personality of Apple Valley? What are we trying to do with Apple Valley? And that consistent vision is something that would be driving how much money we give into who. And sometimes you do need to have tax increases in order to keep a city up to par. And I'm open to those things, but I think we need to focus in on it as opposed to just taking any business that we can get. You know, we have more chicken places in Apple Valley, I think, than in any suburb in the Twin Cities. It's great to have some business, but I think we need to have a little more focused business, hopefully some new business types in Apple Valley, whether it be medical or whether it be data processing. You know, I'd like to see something different and new.
Thank you. Mr. Contino, your question for Mayor Hooppaw.
Okay. Clint, my question is, what can we do to Apple Valley in order to make it look more like a cohesive city?
I think the first challenge I had a dozen years ago getting elected is learning exactly that, what we can do and what we can't do, what we're allowed to do under state law, what crosses the boundary between what's enough government and what's too much government in everybody's decision making. As we look at the individual developments that come through, and I'm glad to hear you talk about medical and other developments, there are a handful of exactly those coming through at Orchard Place here in the next Planning Commission meeting. Some new medical, some new senior living, some new large buildings that will hit exactly the pieces you're talking about. These things do sometimes take a little time to come around. But as we look at all those neighborhoods, that becomes part of that overall master planning, is how you create some cohesiveness in those neighborhoods and in those areas. So really it's through a good, well-planned, master planned process as you have large pieces of, say, undeveloped land.
Thank you. Now for our final pitch for the candidates. Frederic Contino, tell us about yourself.
Again, I've told you my background. It's been in business. I've never been in politics. I've been in a lot of situations that require new thinking, new brainstorming, new ideas, and a consensus. I think the city has a great staff that it works with. I think that the city council can be improved with another point of view, some new ideas, and I have the experience, I have the drive, and I have the vision in order to make that happen, and I hope that you will give me your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Clint Hooppaw.
Again, thanks to the Chamber for hosting. These local elections in particular are really hard for people to have a forum to find information on. So I'm just thankful we can pull this together today. But also thanks to everyone in the room, none of which of you can I see with the lights in my face right now. 12 years of doing this, right? And both your confidence, your support, but also the collaboration over those years have meant an awful lot. The question I often get, what caused you to run in the first place? Why did you get here? What would cause you to step in the middle of a successful career and find a number of hours a week, a month, family at home, all those kind of things? And there's not one big issue there, but I'm a firm believer in this citizen legislator kind of model that just has worked really, really well. And you heard it from some of the other candidates as well. Living here, working here, particularly working in a financial services industry, where you get to see the successes and the failures and the pains of both individuals and businesses, and the impact of city government on those. City government's interesting because we're not making many of the policies that we have to figure out how to adopt and how they impact our communities, but we have to adapt to all of those. It's truly been a gift to merge those two worlds together and see them come together and work well, and I think that's what's made this effective for me. That's not only the financial piece, that's negotiation, how you get people around a table, how you have a good conversation when everybody doesn't agree. I'm exceptionally proud of what we've done in the last 12 years, but I'm very well aware there's an awful lot of work to do, and if we think about it, there always will be. Right? This isn't a destination, it's more about the journey and how we get there, and to Scott's comment, we know we're going to have different people coming in and out of that journey as we continue to move along. With that, I would ask that you, for your support, to continue to keep Apple Valley the community we all love, and ask for your vote in November.
These are your candidates for our great city. Please give them a big round of applause.